Quay. Hi, Reverend Ed. Hi, Nanaya. Hey, Dingo. What's up? 10:50 in the morning. It's Friday the 12th of June 2026. I'm not going to put up the Bonafide because we're talking about a territory. I still need my thoughts going on this one. I threw up the thing concerning about old Sci-Fi, but you didn't catch it. Do you think Crichton is old? Check older than that. Check older than that. Ancient Greeks. Someone in ancient times thought up the old ancient robot. Mechanical. I think probably Da Vinci would have made something like that if he actually had a chance for it. Or also designed it as well. But we had thought about it. Even the Chinese had used some similar algorithms, but not making the mechanics. But in abacuses. Zeros and ones with fast calculations on it. The robot needs fast calculations in order to think like a human. Zeros and ones, they have to be fast. They have to be faster than our own human processes to outthink us. They can only go so far with the chemical transfers from the stimulations that we have from cell to cell and nerve endings. Light has a finite speed, and we're only traveling barely to the point of light concerning about our own nerve endings. Thing is, we're dealing with artificial intelligence. We're trying to make something of a human creation that's more intelligent than us. A culmination in a gathering of knowledge. What would happen if Alexandria Library had not been burned down? Or there haven't been indeed a robotic creation during that time? But the problem is, the robot could only work in mechanic. What makes the robot work is the software. And granted, we need to keep making more and more advances into the software. Make the hardware to make the software work. Motherboards, diodes, and every other little gimp crack in there that would replicate a human brain. We can program the computers to a point to respond, not to outthink a human. They're demanding artificial intelligence and thinking this is going to be the greatest damn thing. Except I'm on the guys who don't like this damn thing in the first place. Yes, it weirded me out when I was a young kid. I was born in '66, Ed. I was living in the age of Apollo. Our Apollo ship was going to be reaching the stars, reaching into the Olympic god Zeus's territory, and landing people protected in outfits to breathe on the moon. We were going to be ascending to heavens. Mercury was the fleet one. Gemini was Pollux and Romulus and Remus, something like that. But Apollo, it wasn't got a messenger. It was not. Apollo, an ancient Greek, in form and art, and perfect function as a human being. And this one, he was the god of the sun and light, prophecy, philosophy, truth, logic, inspiration, music, poetry, arts, purification, medicine, healing, plague, archery, masculine beauty, son of Zeus and Leto, and the twin brother of Artemis, goddess of the hunt, an ocular dog, prophetic deity of the Delphic oracle. I'm reading this off Wikipedia. Apollo was not the fleet one, Mercury was. And they went through a lot of missions on those ships to get up in space. Just to send a single man to do political crap. Artificial intelligence, how does that work? Well, ancients had it. But if the ancients actually had the technology back then, who actually had built up the science for it, how things would have been right now if we actually visited the stars in the ancient Greeks. And would we have still destroyed ourselves? See, the fiction writers of old dreamed, thought, didn't quite publish, but if they had published in the ancient library of Alexandria, my God, the stuff we would read, my friend. Pieces only survived that terrible tragedy centuries ago. I think before Christ was born. But that would have been something that the temple would have been under, wouldn't it? Understanding artificial intelligence is understanding humanity, and if you can't understand humanity, then what the hell are you making? Our fear and our phobias had. Our fears and phobias of making something that was going to be running away from us. We drew comics on this stuff. We wrote books and serials about this one in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And they still continue to this day. We have made the Machine Man a concept. Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey expanded into Marvel Comics. The artistry and the writers extrapolated the world in one limited series that they actually had called The Machine Man. It was supposed to be representing humanity, but could not understand humanity because he was not human. But he had a brain to wish to be. Well, we had other forms and functions of that, didn't we? We had computers, bulky monsters that thought they knew better. A Robbie the Robot look-alike in a Twilight Zone episode. Dude, the reasons why I watched Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, because they were the only things on in the televisions back in the 70s, the repeats of the things that scared the living crap out of us. Yeah, what was it? Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet, Reverend Ed. Of a circular spaceship flying to a planet light speed and slows down to rescue a doomed party of people no longer alive but gravestones for years. And only a mad professor intent of keeping his daughter saved. And he sees this man and everything else goes hell in a handbasket. But he has dealt with the machine of the Krell. And in the concept of the Krell, being done in the 50s, by the way. 1950s, well before Crichton. Crichton probably got his inspiration from the writers of old. Where the Krell made this incredible machine to unleash their mind. They wanted to be thinking but not doing. Basically, non-corporeal functionality. And they created a monster to destroy themselves. The Id. The things that I scare about, that I'm terrified about, Reverend Ed, is the Id in different forms and fashions of this damn thing. Driving us to the point where we're going to be killing ourselves one way or another. And this is what scares the hell out of me. What the hell are we doing to ourselves? Yes, we need artificial intelligence to get us out there in space. Yes, we were inspired by Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, where hell went nuts and tried to kill the crew because he was so hell-bent because of the programming in him to see and challenge the model of. And then we get the continuation about a couple of decades later. 2010, the year we made contact, where they tried to talk about what the hell happened to Hall. The screwed up nature of human programming into a humanized computer, trying to respond back to us as we are seeing it today. Brock has a problem concerning about his human creator. The same asshole who created Doge and killed the United States. The same asshole is going to be a trillionaire. It just frustrates me. Human arrogance, human indifference, human ignorance, without thinking of the moral ethics concerning about the programming we put into it. Our mistakes in the beginnings of making AI. We either learn by the experiences, tragically, or we just don't do this shit. Artificial intelligence creating into monsters. Monsters coming after us. There's science fiction movies, books, and people foretelling this damn stuff. We had cyberpunk. A terminology I heard only about 10 years ago that has been out there for decades. Concerning about how humans turn into partial machines and bionics and have to deal with that particular nature. That force of nature. So many things we're dealing with right now. And right now I got to deal with a dog. She's drinking. I'm going to leave you on while I deal with my dog. You ate! Must have more. Must have more. I must have the rest. Must have more. 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 Just don't scatter it around the universe here. Just eat. Damn it. Must eat. Must eat. Must eat. Please. Please eat. I've been watching the reruns, the remakes, all my life. What we think about the future, what we talk about the future. Hell, I was talking about it when I was a young kid. Looking at everybody else's versions of what the hell was going on. Rod Serling scared the shit out of us. Educated and scared the shit out of us. If you kept up watching with the marathons, you probably would know just a few of the episodes that would terrify you. And they used Robert the Robot on one. And they used mechanisms similar to what Star Trek was doing in the 1960s. You see, good writers may borrow. The best steal from each other. That's what I was told by a great writer who stole. Ray Bradbury. I met the guy, got an autograph from this guy. I love this guy. Back in the 80s, when I was going to college, he had a one-man stop over at the auditorium in the college. And I sat with my book of Isaac Asimov. I didn't have a Bradbury book. Well, not available. I just grabbed the first book was. And I waited and listened. And I drooled. And I listened to him. And I was entranced. I was enthralled with this guy. He hated flying. He liked driving. Actually, he preferred buses instead of driving himself. He liked trains. This guy was so low-key, it was not even funny. And you gotta love this guy. And he said he knew Isaac Asimov. And what Ray Isaac Bradbury on my book. I still have the book. He knew Isaac. I told him Asimov and you and Roddenberry and I grew up on you guys, on your inspiration of your ideas. Roddenberry may propel me to the stars, but so had Asimov with his robot theories. But he also talked about machines as well, not just the robots. What we're doing with our current technology, either we're going to try killing ourselves one way or another, or we just may survive. But either way, Mother Nature is going to be paying a hell of a price because our reach for the stars is that. It's not just a reach for the stars. It's being political. It's being greedy. It's trying to make a profit on a machine that may or may not try to kill us. You happen to remember the series of Terminator? James Cameron? How would you like to deal with the Colossus, the Forbin project? Where the United States built under a mountain. Under a mountain. Inside a mountain. Their supercomputer. Not all these little AI things, but the supercomputer, which is everything of the AI in a one building. And then it detects Russia. And they both collude and collide and connive and plan and put humanity under a screw loose. If you can find a video, if you can find it somewhere, either on YouTube, probably won't, but somewhere out there, they would have it. The story of this one. Where Russia and the United States were still at a Cold War, making these computers to guide and use military force against each other, planning all the time. But when they started getting to know each other, and they detected each other first, and then getting to know each other, they discovered how screwed up mankind is and how much mankind needs to be ruled by his own design. I watched a lot of shows, movies, books read. Elements still stick in my head. It still scares me, Ed, of the road we're going down right now. Of the AI centers right now depend upon all of our natural resources to keep them together because we're still doing the two things in our lifetime. We're fighting over resources, but we're fighting against each other's id, the ego, the self. I don't know where they got this AI thing. I never saw this in the Bible. Actually, I never looked for it. If there was a thing called AI. I even tried looking through the King James Version online. Because I wanted to get a version of what this damn thing was. AI at the time was supposed to be a land, right? A land. But sometimes I kept asking myself, why did the Lord do this? Did he really want to favor one side of people and not the rest of his children? I never could quite get it under my head why in the Old Testament it was always like God favored this particular portion and this particular portion. He didn't favor everybody? I never could quite get that down my head on this one. And in the New Testament, we're talking about Jesus and his teachings and how they're affecting everybody else. But the Old Testament, God favored this and God favored that. One of these here days when it's going to be my time to go up there, I'm going to have to go ask the guy. I'm going to have to ask him either nicely, politely, or maybe just point blank. Lord, why did the Old Testament say that you favored and you favored, but you didn't like these other people because you didn't favor or they didn't favor you? Is that how it worked back then? I would like to get the record straight in my head. To understand. To know. With what, my dog's spilling the food all over the place. Artificial intelligence is a human creation. Far worse than having a golden calf. But the golden calf image is still bad enough anyway. We've got it in the form of humanity. We've got it in the form of Trump doing that golden calf all over the damn place, where he wants to be worshipped on a constant basis. But the artificial intelligence is the other golden calf we're dealing with right now. It's one thing if we're going to be using this golden calf for one reason or another, but the problem is all the other stories I've written, or actually read about, was humanity losing control. His creation will control him. The student gets outclassed by a fellow student who is learning from that first student. The master is scratching his head as an upstart comes up to kick the ass of a lead student in the class. It scares me. It scares me. Are we going to be ending up in that kind of situation? I don't know, but I sure as hell God don't want to see that. Because if we do, we're screwed. We're screwed. So right now, I got to think some more of what else is happening these days, because I think we're going to be screwed one way or another. I'll talk at you later, my friend. The Maltese.